It's the best day of the week, it's Wednesday, and that means it's comic book day. The Walking Dead 150 is out, and I was lucky enough to grab the retailer variant. 25 quid, I thought, shall I, shouldn't I? It reminded me of the time when I discovered The Walking Dead. I used to work at HMV, which in the UK is a CD, DVD game store. Hated it, absolutely hated it. On my lunch times, I used to walk across the road to my local comic store, which just to kill some time. At the back of the store, they have like a bargain bucket of like 75% off back issues. And I would always go through it just to see what I could find and if there was anything that I could just read on my lunch break. And one day I just pulled out this issue of The Walking Dead. I took it back. I had no idea what it was. I was a sort of a fan of zombies. I liked all of the Day of the Dead stuff. So having no knowledge of the series up until this point, I sat down and I read the issue. And it was the issue where Michonne gets revenge on the governor. Fans of the TV show will think, well, yeah, that was quite horrific, but it's probably one of the worst scenes in any book that I've read. She does things to him with a spoon that even I can't talk about. So I sat there and I read this issue of this guy just being horrifically tortured and mutilated by this really pissed off woman with a samurai sword. And I thought, what is this series? Why is this woman so angry? What has this guy done? And I was inspired to go out and buy all of the back issues that I could find and scoured all of the local comic stores to try and see what back issues they had. Of course, I had 30 issues to catch up with, so it was never going to be easy. And I completely raided everything they had. It went right back to about issue 5. Issue 1 was on the back wall behind the counter and it was £30. And I looked at it, and this is like, I worked in a music store, had no money, and I really couldn't convince myself that paying £30 for issue 1 was worth it. And obviously now today it's worth thousands, you know. Obviously you'd have to get it graded, but it was a brand new copy, a first printing, and it was in before the series had took off. So that put me in the same situation today. As I was queuing up, I spotted this on the back shelf, £25, and I was in exactly the same scenario. Oh, that's a lot of money for a comic book. But of course I bought it. I'm not going to miss out on an opportunity like that again. So the issue itself, Robert Kirkman doesn't always pander to these big milestone issues. 100 wasn't exactly anything special, and before that 75. It really suffered from very little action, but that's possibly because of the direction the book's gone and recent events. You couldn't really just put something in there for the sake of it, although there is sort of a little chunk of it, although it was never very convincing, and the people involved, I struggled to remember who they were, if I'm being honest, so it wasn't likely going to be a big shock in the end result, if you get me. I'm trying to describe the issue without spoiling it. The Walking Dead for me has been a real journey. It's the kind of comic that people moan and complain when it gets boring, but it's the kind of comic that needs to be boring. You need, fast, slow pacing in order to build characters. And Robert Kirkman has always done that well. We all know that he can write a character, he can make you care about a character. So I think it suffered from what every other ongoing series suffers from. Recently they had a time jump of about 4 years, and that really inspired it and gave it a bit of an injection of interest. And I think they needed to skip ahead and show the evolution of the situation they're in. Highlights of the series for me at the 150 mark. The prison was just such a fantastic arc from start to finish. The characters that we met, the things that happened, and how it all ended was just perfect. It was really compelling storytelling, and it's always almost suffered a little bit from how good that was, because how do you top that? In all honesty, you're not ever likely to see a complete wipe out like you did with the prison arc. I really liked the tainted meat scene, and I know that was done really well in the series, although be it with a different character.
Tainted meat! Shut up. Shut up!
One other thing that I just loved about the comic was Dale's relationship with Andrea. I felt like it was so sweet and probably true to the situation they were in. He was there for her, and they became an item. And I really wish they'd done that in the TV series. The future of the series, how far can it go? How long can it really stay interesting? One thing that Robert Kirkman always said right from the very first issue was that The Walking Dead is that great zombie film that you always love to watch, but it shows what happens after years after. And I think that was always a unique thing. But now we're here and we are years after. And how much further can we go? All we can really do is see the group progress, and maybe the end would be a cure. I don't think there is a cure. I think humanity is still doomed no matter what. The group are restoring humanity and society back to how it once was, but you've got this nagging problem that everybody who dies becomes a zombie, so that needs to be cured, really. For me, The Walking Dead is still my #1 comic. It still gets me excited, still gets my juices flowing. Anyway, that's my brief Walking Dead video that I had to make, and we'll see you for the next one.